Thank you for tuning in to Living Inspired. Our speaker this evening is Ms. Vernell Mazyck Starks. Let us join her in a lecture already in progress.
To Reverend Darby, officers, members of Mount Zion African Methodist Episcopal Church, good morning. I want to thank you for the invitation to come and be a part of these services. I thank you for the introduction, and I praise God for the opportunity to be in your presence. The Black History Month national theme is Niagara Movement. The topic I have chosen is remembering the past, living the present, and moving toward the future. The Niagara Movement, for the sake of history, was founded in 1905 by a group led by W.E.B. Du Bois, John Hope, William Trotter, and others, who called for full civil liberties and an end to racial discrimination and recognition of human brotherhood. The movement renounced Booker T. Washington's accommodation. The champion for black education was an ex-slave who had at times slept under a board sidewalk to save pennies for his schooling, was called in 1881 to head the Black Normal and Industrial School at Tuskegee, Alabama. His administration began with 40 students in a tumble-down shanty. Undaunted, he taught black students useful trades so that they could gain self-respect and economic security. Washington's self-help approach to solving the nation's racial problem was labeled accommodationist because it stopped short of directly challenging white supremacy. Black leaders, notably Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, assailed Booker T. Washington as an Uncle Tom who was condemning their race to manual labor and perpetual inferiority. Dr. Du Bois demanded complete equality for blacks, social as well as economic, and he helped found the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, better known through its acronym NAACP, in 1910, rejecting Washington's gradualism and separatism. He demanded that the talented tenth of the black community be given the immediate access to the mainstream of American life. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote in his classic, The Soul of Black Folk, "It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at one's self through the eyes of others, of measuring oneself through the eyes of others. One ever feels his two-ness, an American, a Negro, two souls, two thoughts, two unreconcilable striving, two warring ideas in one dark body, whose dog's strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder. We celebrate the Niagara movement which led to our present NAACP. And as we move in these 2000s, we must move with urgency to examine, analyze, and assess our agendas as a people of color, to determine where do we go from here. We must make an evaluation of the goals and purpose collectively to determine if we are still on course or have gone off on another path in our thinking. The goal of the Niagara movement and the NAACP is, have been, for every freeborn America to have every civil and social right, to allow the citizens to pursue happiness under the law of these United States and never cease to protest until the end has come to inequality, injustice, and segregation. Therefore, it behooves us as a people to stay connected and focus on the goals that was implemented from the Niagara movement. We must move with all deliberate speed to finish the unfinished business that our forefathers, our unknown heroes and heroines, our martyrs, and our leaders embarked upon some 100 years ago. This is not the time to shut down nor to shut up. When Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass came out of slavery, they did not sit down and gloat over the fact that they had overcome. They continued to fight for those who were still in bondage. When those who were unable to manipulate or maneuver their way out of their bondage were free. So it is with us. We cannot avoid what remains to be done. To do nothing will dishonor our past. Today, we must strengthen the conditions of the African American race. We have gifts that we can and must use to close the gap that exists in education, economic, and social disparity. We have the gift of time. Spend it wisely. Be an advocate for growth as well as change. We have the gift of talent. No one knows everything, but I can assure you that each of us knows something. Therefore, it is imperative that each one teach one. I must address the hip-hop generation who do not understand the need and purpose of continuing the fight for freedom. You have inherited the long-denied birthright to live without the noose of slavery and Jim Crow around your neck. You have the task of beginning a new phase of African American history, cleaning up the fallout from nearly 400 years of oppression. But you face many obstacles in ushering in the new chapter in our history. How can you clear the obstacles to freedom? First, your generation must adhere to the problem of yesteryears effectively. Pay close attention to the word reparation. Study your history. Today, many African American children attend schools that teach a version of U.S. history, which exclude or barely acknowledge your ancestors. We must know the truth about the evils of slavery and Jim Crow and teach the greatness of Africa and African American civilization and culture. The lies of hatred and oppression must be dispelled if we are to create new possibilities for citizens in these United States. Your generation must demand a new social order, one that is inclusive. America's riches was built by all of her inhabitants, therefore must be shared accordingly. Press for quality schools, a living wage, organize against the prison industrial complex policy that promotes homeland insecurity. Be resolved to resist oppression in every form it takes. Then, and only then, will a new day come. Your generation is charged to stop dreaming about a beloved community and make it a reality.
Thank you for tuning in to Living Inspired. Join us again for our next podcast. And until then, we hope you live each and every day inspired.